All this talk about food is making me hungry. So at this point in the story, we're about halfway through chapter 23, and Kit and Moon are off. I can't remember what they left for. Do you guys remember?
Water. They left to find water.
They have to go find some fresh water, and Hal stays back. So Hal's back with the dogs, and the dogs kind of annoy him. But both dogs have taken a liking to Hal, and he seems to tolerate them, I guess. Kit and Moon are talking about Hal saying that he wants to leave. And why is it that Hal wants to leave?
Because he dreams of big food, not little.
He wants food. There's another reason, though. Do you remember? I know.
Because he misses that.
He misses his dad. Hal misses his dad.
Somebody cast him.
So, that's where we left off. Let's see. I'm going to pick back up at this point. We read some of this yesterday. He's really not mean. I know. I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I stood up and started back, and Kit followed. We passed Hal tromping down the slope to the creek in the dark with the dogs following him. I looked up at the sky again, and it was heavy with storm. It's right down there, Hal, I said. It's not too far. I'll find it, he grumbled. Just let the dogs show you where to go. Back at the fire, I told Kit my plans to build our shelter, then began to make weapons and traps. I could start by making a bow out of the fish spear I made the night before. It was hard not to wonder about Hal, though, and if he was going to leave. I didn't want to bring it up when he returned for fear that it might make the idea come into his head if it hadn't already. Instead, I thought of everything I could do to make him comfortable. Take some of these pine needles, Hal, and put them under your blanket. You can stuff your jacket with dry marsh grass, and it'll make a better pillow. Hal sprinkled the pine needles. I handed him across the ground half-heartedly. Then he looked around like he might see some more can't speak today. Then he looked around like he might see more marsh grass nearby. We can go back down to Kit Creek and I'll show you where the soft grass is, I said. I didn't have a soft pillow that last night. I guess I don't be missing one much either tonight. Then the thunder rumbled closer, and I looked up at the sky. Oh, don't rain now, I said to myself. But I knew by the thickness of the air that a storm was closing in on us. I looked over at Hal with a sinking feeling. He was spreading his blanket and didn't seem to notice the weather. What's the problem if it rains for them?
Because they're going to get all soaked and
They're going to get soaked.
they can't dry their clothes because if it's still raining, their clothes are going to get even more soaked.
And it's nighttime, so they're exhausted, they're tired, they're ready to go to bed. Hal's already having a heck of a time.
They don't want to move.
They have no shelter, and it's about to storm. And is it late fall? I think it's the fall time, so it's probably going to be pretty cold. All right, let's keep going.
And there's basically not enough food.
Kit and I watched the fire after Hal rolled up in his blanket to go to sleep. After a few minutes, Kit leaned over and whispered, "What do you think?" "I don't know. It's going to rain tonight, isn't it?" "Yeah." "Man, he's not going to like that," Kit said. "We just need to get the shelter built. We got to get built fast to get him comfortable. First thing in the morning. And then we got to get him some food he likes." I looked at Kit. "He'll stay then, don't you think?" Kit looked at me and nodded quickly, but I could tell he wasn't sure. Why does Moon, wasn't Hal the guy that, tried to beat up on Moon?
No, it was. Actually, yes.
It was Hal. So why does why does Moon want Hal to stay so badly?
Because he's so big and he protects them.
Maybe because he protects him? Why? Any other reasons? Why else would Moon want Hal to stay and not leave?
And because if he stays, he might help him find his dad.
Maybe. Could be helpful. So he could protect him. He could be helpful. I think there's another reason. How many friends did Moon have before
0.
he went to Pinson?
0.
How many friends does Moon have now?
2.
2. All the boys left with him, right? But a lot of the boys stayed back on the bus. And right now it's just Kit and Hal and Moon. And so Moon doesn't want Hal to leave. I think it's because he wants to be friends with him. And interestingly enough, they're actually, even though Hal kind of was ready to beat him up and stuff, right now they seem like they're buddies.
Like we always do. Man, this kid behind me. We're gonna beat up each other now.
Kit looked at me and nodded quickly, but I could tell he wasn't sure. "He'll stay then," I repeated to myself. Kit eventually lay on his side and watched the fire until he fell asleep. I stared at his closed eyes, and I felt myself getting lonely again. I reached into my pocket, and I pulled out the crumbled piece of pine bark I had written to Pap on that morning, and I dumped it into the hot coals. I lay down, and I watched the little flame lick the edges of it, creating a thin line of smoke that curled up into the darkness.